All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to crack open the private journal of one of the most powerful men in history to find some seriously timeless advice for our very, very modern problems. So let me ask you this. Do you ever just find yourself completely thrown off by what someone else says or does? Or maybe even worse, you get angry at yourself for getting angry in the first place. It's like this endless, frustrating loop, right? Well, you're not alone. It turns out the emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, was dealing with the exact same stuff. And lucky for us, in book 11 of his private notes, the Meditations, he left behind this incredible blueprint for building a resilient mind. So let's dive in. Okay, first things first. Aurelius is pretty clear that it all starts inside your own head. Before you can even think about dealing with the world out there, you've got to understand the power of your own mind. He calls this your rational soul. Now, what does that mean? Think of it as your core consciousness. It's this little piece of cosmic reason that you carry around with you. And here's what makes it so special. Unlike anything else in nature, your mind can actually step outside of itself, take a look in the mirror, and consciously decide what kind of person it wants to be. Just let that sink in for a second. Your mind isn't just passively taking in the world. Nope. According to Aurelius, it's an active creator. It can literally choose its own character. It can shape its own reality. You are both the sculptor and the marble. That is some serious power. And to help us picture this, Aurelius uses this really powerful image. He says the soul, when it's at its best, is like a perfect sphere. It's not getting all stretched out because of desire or shrinking down because of fear. It stays whole, it stays complete, and it's lit up from within, seeing the truth of itself and the world. That's the goal, to keep that perfect spherical shape. So, the big question is, how do we stop our minds from getting all bent out of shape? How do we maintain that perfect sphere? Well, Aurelius gives us a really practical tool for this. Let's just call it the art of seeing clearly. He actually turns this big philosophy into a simple three-step method. For example, he says, think about a beautiful piece of music that just completely captivates you. Okay, now break it down, note by single note. Ask yourself, is this one note worth being enslaved by? Of course not. It's the same for anything that feels overwhelming. You just isolate it, deconstruct it, and evaluate the pieces. And when you do that, you strip away all the emotional drama we build around things and see them for what they are, just small, manageable parts that have no real power over us. Now, mastering your inner world, that's absolutely crucial. But Aurelius is quick to remind us that this doesn't happen in a bubble. In fact, all that internal work is really just training for the outside world. And he couldn't be more clear about this. We are fundamentally social creatures. We are not meant to go it alone. This right here is his go-to metaphor for how we relate to each other. Every single one of us is like a branch on this huge, sprawling tree of humanity. So when you cut yourself off from one person, you're not just separating from them, you're actually cutting yourself off from the entire tree. And here's the kicker. This separation, through anger or hate, it's a self-inflicted wound. But, and this is the hopeful part, unlike a real tree branch, we have the power to graft ourselves back on. We can choose to reconnect. We have the ability to regrow that bond with the whole. Okay, so this brings us to what might be the most practical part of the entire book. If we're all connected, what on earth do we do about the people who constantly annoy us or offend us or even betray us? Well, Aurelius gives us an incredible toolkit for this exact problem. He lays out 9 specific rules, or you can think of them as reminders, to help us respond with wisdom and kindness, instead of just reacting with that flash of anger. Think of it like a mental checklist to run through when you feel that frustration bubbling up. So the first 3 rules are all about the big picture. First, he just reminds us, hey, we're made for each other. Second, try to see that people are acting based on their logic, not yours. And the third rule, this one's a biggie. He says to realize that when people do wrong, it's usually from ignorance, not pure malice. Nobody willingly chooses to be wrong. All right, next, the focus shifts inward to you. Fourth, remember that you're not perfect either. A little humility here goes a long, long way. Fifth, you almost never know the full story behind why someone's acting the way they are, so maybe hold off on the judgment. And sixth, put it all into perspective. Life is incredibly short. Is this moment of anger really how you want to spend your precious limited time? And the final 3 rules are all about taking back your power. 7th, and this is pure stoicism, it's not the event that's hurting you, it's your opinion about the event. 8th, realize that your anger is often causing way more damage to you than whatever the original offense was. And finally, number 9, remember that true kindness isn't weakness, it's a superpower. A genuinely good disposition, as he says, is invincible. And as if 9 rules weren't enough, he throws in a 10th one, like a little bonus gift. And this is the pragmatic punchline to the whole thing. He basically says, being shocked when flawed people do flawed things is insane. It's like being surprised that a fig tree doesn't grow olives. Just expect it, and it loses all its power to throw you off balance. So, we've talked about mastering our mind, seeing things clearly, dealing with difficult people. But what's the point of it all? What's the one thing that ties all of these practices together? While Aurelius argues that to have any real integrity, to be a consistent person through and through, you have to have a single unifying purpose. You need a North Star. Without one, you're just going to get pulled in 1,000 different directions, always changing and never really feeling whole. And he's very specific about this purpose. It can't just be about you. It has to be social. It has to be aimed at what he calls the common interest. That's the ultimate goal. So what's your art? Your profession? Your craft? According to Marcus Aurelius, it's simply this: to be a good person. This quote just nails the Stoic idea of a fulfilling life. You don't do good things to get praise or to get rich. The reward isn't something that comes later. The good action is the reward. That feeling of knowing you contributed to the whole, that's the prize. So we end with the question that Aurelius is really asking us all. With all the distractions, all the frustrations, and the challenges of just living day to day, he's asking us to define our North Star. What is the one single purpose that's going to guide your actions and give your life meaning?